focus on hitting your goals in every area of your business. Remember, the universe rewards the bold. A leader has to take the risks.
What is happening, Mr. Greg?
All is great.
Craig, right?
With a C, Craig.
Craig, okay, good.
It's great to connect with you, brother. I feel like I know you so well because we engage every single day in the engagement group and so forth. It's awesome to connect.
It really is, man. I mean, you got a movement going on right now, man. CLS, and you're putting on some great content and just love your stuff. Your podcast kicks ass. So love that.
Thank you, brother. And I know I'm not the first person to tell you this, but your personality is magnetic, brother. It's contagious, and I appreciate your aura. Great energy.
Thanks, man. It means a lot. So tell us, what's this in back of you right here? Where are you at right now?
I'm in Manhattan, in the Big Apple, New York City, where we ran the New York City Marathon this past Sunday, and that's the East River.
That's fantastic, man. So now you were born and raised New Yorker, right?
Correct. Yes.
So you're a fighter then. You get a lot of fights growing up?
Not really, honestly.
No. So what kind of kid were you, man? What were you like when you were a kid?
You know, I didn't really have purpose when I was a kid until I graduated college and I found personal development and the mindset and all that stuff. I don't know. You know, I wasn't the best kid. I got in a little bit of trouble here and there. Nothing too crazy. You know, a little bit above average grades. Then after I graduated college, I ended up on Wall Street, and then I started studying the mind, and then everything opened up. Then I started running marathons, building businesses, and then obviously in the pandemic, I pivoted and found this CLS stuff. And oh yeah, now this is me. This is what I'll be doing for the rest of my life. It's a capacity. I finally found what lights my soul on fire. In fact, if I had $1 billion in the bank, which I don't right now, I'd still be doing exactly what I'm doing right now, specifically about to have a conversation with you. I love this stuff.
Oh man, that's wonderful. And so you said Wall Street. So what were you doing on Wall Street?
Yeah. So after college, I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly. I gravitated towards Wall Street as ambitious people do in Manhattan. And I was in finance, and then I pivoted and I started my own business, basically selling money to companies, providing them with capital. And it was very lucrative. But ultimately, I was miserable. I was unhappy. I didn't even know the extent of it, Daniel, until the pandemic, because I had to reassess after I closed my office for 2 weeks, or what I thought would be 2 weeks, who knew at the time, last March. And it was the first time I had an opportunity to really ask myself, am I happy or not? And I just some self-discovery. I had been miserable for a long time. Even though I was making money, that's not necessarily success, I found out. I was waking up every day and it felt like I was going to a job. Like, you know what I'm saying? So then I asked myself, what are my gifts and what's my passion? My gifts are my ability to communicate. People would always come to me over the years to get inspired. My passion is personal development. I married the two. CLS was born.
So you were making money on Wall Street. I mean, what were you like specifically? What were you into? Like what areas? Because I'm in financial services. You know, I've been in financial services for 25 years.
I know you have.
So what specific areas were you focused on?
Yeah. So in the beginning, finance, and then more recently, my own business where we sold money, like basically loans, a little bit high interest because, you know, no collateral and stuff like that. A little bit different than what you do, I imagine.
Yeah, a little bit different. Yeah, we're mainly insurance and investments and things like that. But that's fantastic, man. I mean, and so I wanted to mention real quick because, you know, David Meltzer, he's I've been following him for a long time. You seem like you got a pretty close relationship with him. How did that all begin? And
me and him is super tight. We have a weekly show called The Paradigm Shift, where last week we had on Rob Dyrdek from MTV. We do a lot of business together, and we're really, really good friends. When I launched CLS a little over a year ago, I just was very strategic with every relationship, every collaboration, everything I did. And I reached out to Dave and we collaborated, and I just respected him. I connected with him. And ultimately I flew out to LA to go shake his hand and just speak to him a little bit further. And we really strengthened the relationship. He took a very serious liking to me. And then he's been sort of a mentor to me since. And we have our weekly shows together. In fact, I'm going to be featured on his new show, Office Hours, which is on Bloomberg and Amazon Prime in a couple of weeks. And we do a lot of business together. Great guy.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Cause I mean, so I'm taking that like you believe in the law of attraction and you believe in just the power of energy and vibration. And does that mean anything to you?
It means a lot to me, brother. I thought you'd never ask. I love that stuff. And it's funny because I've been a little skeptical for the last year about that stuff. I was an NLP guy. Now I realize NLP is just the appetizer. All that universal stuff with the energy, with the quantum, I had to really dig deep, specifically the last 3 months, because I was training for a marathon. I was actually out on a big speaking engagement with our friend Meltzer, and I got injured playing football on the beach. And I came home and the doctor said I had a sprained ligament, wear a walking boot. Came back a week later and I was like, my intuition says something different. I'd like to get an MRI. They called me up and they said, well, Craig, here's the good news. Your ligament looks all right. Bad news is we found a tumor on the bottom of your foot. Shook me up. No one wants to hear that word. Allowed myself a pity party for 10 hours. The next day, found the best doctors, got the surgery. Tumor was benign, thank God. Crutches, stitches, all that. Make a long story short, I ended up running the New York City Marathon this past Sunday with very limited physical training due to the surgery. So I had to, the point of the story is I had to dive deep into the quantum energy, electrical signals, all that stuff. And boy, is it magical. I mean, when you start really tapping into that and understanding the vibrations like you just spoke about, that's when the real magic and manifestations happen. And they happen in real time. It's crazy.
And so what sort of specific, what sort of things did you do that, that maybe if somebody's going through that right now that's listening or watching, they're going, hey, I can do that too. What sort of things did you do?
Yeah, it's a phenomenal question. It's just the power of, and people have heard this before, right? But I'm not sure they really understand it. Thoughts become things, right? When we have a thought, it's an electrical signal to the universe. It could be good or bad. If it's good, then that electrical signal to the universe will change your beliefs to be more empowering. And those beliefs will create new habits and behaviors, which are productive, and those will change your results. Once I understood that, although thoughts over the course of the day are random, thinking is not. We can be strategic with how we control our thoughts. So then I started getting rid of disempowering thoughts, kind of like an intruder in your house. Get out of here. And I would incorporate more empowering, productive thoughts, right? And I'll put those out to the universe. Those would change my beliefs on what's possible, start having new habits and behaviors, and those change your results. Bottom line is, your thoughts are everything. It sets out a frequency and a vibration to the universe. The universe will correspond for you or against you. It's why you have to be so deliberate with your thoughts and the frequency that you're in. And again, for the audience listening, this is very tangible. If you wake up one day or if you're just not in a great mood, take a second and be aware and say, I must have negative thoughts right now. That's why I feel this way. Be aware of that and then replace them with new thoughts that are more positive, empowering. And then you change your frequency and change everything in your way, on your way to manifestation and all that great stuff.
1000%, man. I mean, my life is a different life because I made different choices. I've been getting up in the morning and saying great things always happen to me. I mean, literally for 20 plus years, I've been saying that every day. I get in the shower and I look in the mirror and I go, man, I'm alive, I'm awake, and I feel great. And so it's just crazy because obviously not every day has been perfect. Obviously every day, I have problems, I have issues, we have, challenges in life. But it's just weird though, Craig. It just seems like I have less challenges and less problems than so many other people. And I look at so many, dull, disillusioned, frustrated, whiny, victim attitude, so many people out there. And I go, it's just, if they would just change that thinking with a more quality thought, maybe their life could sort of take a different direction because it is magnetic, it is energy, it is vibration. So it's powerful stuff, man. You're right on.
I'm laughing right now and smiling because of how aligned we are right now. And I can tell, like, this stuff gets you so junked up and excited as it does for me too. So I love this.
Yeah. No, it's just fun because when you're aware of certain things, then you can make changes. Even though, crap happens sometimes and you go, oh, I've been doing this law of attraction thing, but it doesn't work. Well, guess what? It doesn't work because you say it doesn't work.
Correct.
I believe whatever we think about with courage, passion, determination will ultimately become our reality.
Good or bad.
Good or bad, absolutely. And so you are so right on. And that just kind of leads me to the next thought that I wanted to have with you. And that's just, coaching. You are a mentor, you're a coach. And so the first little piece I want to know is, why do you feel like you are somebody that people can trust? And why do you feel like you have the ability to be able to give people advice to transform their life? And then why do people need a coach? Why should we trust somebody, a mentor, somebody to take us to that next level, especially if we've been kind of floundering around for 10 years trying to change our life and nothing seems to change? Why are coaches so important?
Yeah, phenomenal questions, Daniel. And number one, empathy, right? I empathize with people that are going through stuff because I've been there myself and I know what it feels like to struggle, to feel unworthy, to not have purpose and all that. I also know what it feels like to get over that and to find your passion, to find your purpose, to change your thoughts, to create a whole new life because I've been through it. So, and the testimonials speak for themselves. People that have been conditioned to be a certain way for so long, 30, 40, 50 years, once they buy in and they understand it all starts with this, everything begins to change for them. I have a client that's 75 years young and she feels like she's never been more alive with all the work that we've been doing and so forth. So you got to be able to trust someone that doesn't just practice what they preach what they practice. And I know that sounds a little deep, but they've actually been through it and have come out the other side and experienced and so forth. In regards to why should everyone have a coach? I mean, Tom Brady has a coach, right? Michael Jordan had a coach. All the greats. You should always have someone to bounce ideas off of, someone that can give you a perspective. Even if you're the greatest in the world at what you do, right? There's got to be some ways where you can improve, or someone that can have an unbiased suggestion, or just say, hey, if I were you, I would do this a little bit differently. And maybe sometimes you can't see, the label when you're inside the jar, so to speak, because you're always in it. So it's good for someone to give you just a different perspective. And the reality is it's always good to just have someone there to bounce ideas off, even if you just want to vent and the obvious answer is, if it isn't something that you've done before, just to get experience, right? Someone who's walked the walk already, someone who's done it, not so you can necessarily cut the line, but so that you can minimize potential mistakes and setbacks, and so to speak. It's so important. And this is something I learned later in life. I have no regrets. I believe everything happened the way it's supposed to be. If I had to choose one, it would be that I didn't have mentorship at an earlier age, straight up.
Yeah. And that's, because sometimes, people will look at somebody like you and they'll go, man, this guy's got it all together. He's so perfect, man. Look at how good looking this guy is. And yeah, look at those guns, man. So everybody that's listening right now on the podcast, you need to go to YouTube because we're going to have this up on YouTube. So that way you can see this guy's guns, man. And what I was going to say is that, sometimes people, they do get intimidated and they do look at somebody like you and they go, man, this guy's so good and he's so well-spoken and he's such a great coach and he's helped so many people. And so I want to know from you though, buddy to buddy here, I want to know, what are some of your shortcomings though, and what are some of the mistakes that you made in the past so that, people can kind of understand that, like, we're all flawed, man. We all make mistakes. We all screw up and we all got shortcomings.
Yeah, it's true. Nobody is without their flaws or whatever the case may be. And that's part of the beauty of life, right? It's a journey to self-improvement and self-discovery. I think some things that I wish I did a little bit differently is sometimes I want to do too much, right? I don't want to delegate. I want to take care of everything. I have that A-list type of personality. Sometimes I think I know it all. But more recently, I've been able to become aware and acknowledge the significance and the value of having mentors, mentorship, and so forth. So I've been really tapping into that, and it's just great to have, because I don't know what I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have experience everywhere. So I don't have all the answers, so to speak. So to be able to put your ego aside and understand there's people out there that can help. They've been through it. They have experience and so forth, stuff of that nature. And the only other thing that I could think of right now is I need to exercise boundaries a little bit more. You know, my CLS brand has exploded, and I'm very humble for that, but it's still relatively new, right? It's only a year and a half old, believe it or not. As you might know, I'm sure you do, when you're starting something that's relatively new, there's nothing in the world you'd rather be doing, right? People are always like, how are you so excited all the time? How are you so happy? What are you on? I love this stuff. I'm obsessed with helping people. I love seeing the transformations. There's nothing I'd rather be doing, but at the same time, you don't want to burn out. I need to be able to get a little bit better at exercising boundaries. I'm working on it, Daniel.
You know, it's funny that you said the you only know, and because I've been saying this for my whole career, you only know what you know because of what you know. That is an original Daniel Alonzo quote.
Bang.
It's going to be in one of those quote books one of these days. You only know what you know because of what you know. And it's true, because we only know, and sometimes we're so certain. That's the tough thing sometimes, right? We feel like we're so certain about certain things, but then later on we find out we were completely wrong. We were completely misguided, and we were so sure about it, and we yelled it, we screamed it, but then later on we went, wait a minute, maybe after we got a different perspective, or life, you know, kicked you in the balls, you know what I mean? Like you started to go, okay, man, you know, maybe that wasn't right. And so, but look, I mean, we all have shortcomings. I mean, my challenge, you know, one of my issues, you know, through the years is I think that I was too tough. I mean, we have 49 locations. We've been blessed in business. We have an organization of 1,500 licensed agents now. And, you know, life is, you know, financially and freedom and choices and options, all that stuff. But the truth is, I think I could be 5 times as big if I would have been a little bit less tough. I was very tough. I was a very tough coach. I was a very, you know, in your face, like, and I probably lost some good people by not having better empathy. And you said that. And I think that's one of your strengths, is having empathy now. And I think that's one thing that I'm starting to learn. And so we all make mistakes, man. We all screw up. We all, and the good news is that we can make a ton of mistakes and we could still have a great life. We could still succeed if we don't give up, if we don't quit. We just keep getting better, keep pushing forward. Any thoughts on that?
100%. And also, is it really a mistake if we learn from it and then we use it to, you know, to improve in future endeavors? I believe not. So the only way we lose is if we don't learn from stuff. And empathy, it's something I've really worked on over the last couple of years, and it goes a long way, especially with building rapport and gaining trust with people. So I love that you also agree with that.
Yeah, no, it's big stuff. And I know you have, you know, you have some strengths, and we all would say, hey, you know, I'm really good at this one thing. What would you say is one of those things that you feel, and that you would kind of pat yourself, you know, humbly, you would pat yourself on the back and you go, I'm pretty freaking good at that. You know, what would you say?
Yeah, for me, it's a simple answer. And I believe it's the reason why CLS has exploded, is my ability to communicate with people, help them see their own potential that they never saw, and want to take inspired action. A lot of people can read a book or watch a Rocky movie or go to a webinar or a masterclass. And the next day, they're back at where they started. They don't take any positive action. It seems as though I have a good ability to get through to people, to make them want to take that first step, to take inspired action, to leave them in an elevated state, so to speak. Believe that's my gifts. And that's why I married that with the personal development to start CLS.
And so now that you've been doing this for a couple of years now, do you see some common challenges that people have right now? And that, you know, is there a little bit of a, you know, a trend that you see that a lot of people are kind of making some, you know, making their life a little harder than they have to make it? Any thoughts?
100%, brother. I think the common thing that I see in most people when I first meet them, or I begin to work with them, or they're in my membership, whatever the case may be, is unworthiness. A lot of people have an idea but who's going to listen to them, right? The voice in their head. Why you? What's your testimonial? Whatever the case may be. And they psych themselves out before they even start. That's the problem. That's why one of my favorite things that I love to say is 3 words. Why not you? Right? Because if it's not you, it's going to be somebody else, so to speak. So I think unworthiness and people just having a low self-image of themselves. And I'm sure you've heard this before. I didn't make it up, but you can't surpass your own self-image. So if you only believe what you is possible for yourself to a certain extent, you'll never be able to go above that. It's like a governor on a sports car. You can't go to a top speed. I think people have a lack of confidence.
Like, why do you think that you are so driven? I'm listening to you, and I mean, you got so much wisdom, you got so much drive, you got so much focus in how you're communicating here. And what's the end result for you, man? I mean, what is it? And again, bring on the $1 billion. I'm okay with taking the $1 billion, but I'm with you, man. I mean, I'll keep doing the same thing. I've been financially free since I was 28 years old, and I've never stopped teaching. I've never stopped training. I've never stopped self-improving or developing in my life. I'm going to be 47 on November 22nd. And
47 years young.
47 years young, man. And so I've never felt more inspired, never felt more fired up about life. And so like, why are you doing this, man?
I just love this stuff, bro. The personal development stuff, seeing the light come in people's eyes, like, whoa, like that was a breakthrough. Like I didn't realize I was capable of that. I legitimately love this stuff. And also like on my podcast, we have the top 5 business podcasts right now on planet Earth. Some of the biggest A-list celebrities on the planet. This week, we just dropped Rob Dyrdek. We've had our mutual friend, John Asseroff on and so forth, and Suzanne Summers. I love to pick the brain of the greats and find out it wasn't always like that, right? What was their mindset like when they had adversity? What makes them tick? What makes them become super successful? And then I love to share that content with the audience so they could find it relatable in some of the world's biggest stars, that anybody can do these things. They can make that switch. They can get rid of those disempowering thoughts, right? Change the frequency, the vibration, all that stuff. I legitimately just love this. I'm so passionate about it. And I just want to impact more billions of people. CLS has a meteoric rise so far, but as I like to say, don't blink. We're just getting warmed up. I just want to support and inspire more. I know this podcast can be great. We're going to hit a little bit different of an audience. I just want to help everybody, legitimately, genuinely want to see everybody fly.
Fantastic. And so there are a lot of entrepreneurs, small business men and women out there right now that are watching and listening, and they're thinking, okay, because you've done a good job at branding yourself. You've done a great job at, putting out your podcast. It's a world-class podcast. You've done a great job at your graphics and the things that you put out to the world. So how important is social media and branding to a young, inspiring entrepreneur in America and around the world today?
Yeah, I think it's huge. And the good news is it's very accessible because social media is essentially free, right? It's an unbelievable marketing tool and platform. Look, like I always tell my clients who want to build personal brands, you could have the greatest content in the world. You could have unbelievable stuff to say, but if there's no audience, if there's no eyeballs on you, then it just goes to waste. So in terms of marketing and building a personal brand and standing out, I think that's huge. And then once you have the audience or a audience, right? And then you continue to do great stuff. You put out great content. You leave tangible tools. Listen, word of mouth is on steroids. People will share it. It'll spread like wildfire. But there's got to be an audience to see what you have going on. And social media is a phenomenal tool or a vehicle, if you will, to drive eyeballs to your brand so you continue to do what you do best, explode and inspire millions and hopefully billions.
Any advice as far as what you could, any thoughts as to what these small business owners should be doing on social media? Because again, and I remember years ago when I got on social media and I would post something, I'd get 2 likes, and it's frustrating as hell you're pouring your life's wisdom, your life's thoughts, your everything into these posts or videos or whatever. And so were there any other strategies? Were there paid? Did you do paid sponsors? Did you get did you hire a firm? Did you, what sort of things did you do that really helped you grow a little faster?
Yeah, phenomenal question. So one strategy I had was the power of collaboration, right? I would do lives. I would do podcasts. I would collaborate with so many different people with different audiences so that if I was live with them or if I dropped a podcast and they so graciously shared it, right? Then all of a sudden I have all those eyeballs on it. For example, I mentioned earlier, we dropped a podcast last week with Rob Dyrdek, the face of MTV. He shared the episode numerous times. He has 6 million followers. You know what I'm saying? So that's all eyeballs on what we have going on. So that doesn't hurt. And doing lives with people, collaborating with great people like you. And if you share this and so forth, and I like to share it right back, right? I share everything. So the power of collaboration is a great tool to infiltrate other people's audiences. And then as long as you're doing a really good job, that stuff will spread.
It's awesome that you mentioned that, because that's exactly how me and you met, is through collaboration. John Assaraf, which he was one of the people in The Secret, the movie, he DM'd me one day and he said, "Hey man, I want you to be in this engagement group," because he was on my podcast a couple of years ago, maybe a year ago. He was on my podcast, and so he says, "Hey, do you want to be a part of this?" I said, "Heck yeah, man, this is great." And so I have so many new friends just because I said yes. I tell people all the time, you can never grow in your life by saying no. So again, I like to say yes. Somebody asked me to be on a podcast. Let's do it, man. Somebody wants to come on. If I think they can bring value, let's rock and roll, man. Let's do it. And so I believe in the power of collaboration, changed my life in so many different ways. And it's kind of like in the sales business, you go get referrals from other people. In the social media world, though, those numbers can be 10x, 100x, 1,000x if you're collaborating with the right people. And so it is important what you said, though, as far as providing good content, right? So, take pride in what you post. I tell people all the time, I mean, don't just, copy other people's quotes and post them all day long. You have to use your own voice. You have to spread your own thoughts. You have to have your own opinions about everything that you want to talk about. Wherever your brand is going, you have to share that content and share your ideas. And don't be afraid that maybe somebody might not like all of your opinions. Be brave enough to tell the world who you are, because the truth is, if you get on that same frequency and you get that in that same alignment with the right people, great things could happen to you. So what do you think about that, Craig?
I love everything that you're saying, but the only negative that we have going on right now is that you and I don't have 10 hours to speak, because this is great. There's a lot of synergies, and I agree with every single thing that you're saying, straight up.
Yeah, good stuff, man. And look, just a side thought here, because you are college educated, and I'm just curious. I mean, what do you think about college education today? I mean, is it something that should be required for everybody? I mean, what's your thoughts?
I can only speak for myself. The stuff that I learned in college did nothing for me in the real world. They don't teach you how to reprogram your mind or remove limiting beliefs or how to be goal oriented. Those are stuff that I think is very important to the world, to put dents in the universe and change the world, so to speak. So I didn't learn any of that stuff. I'm glad I went to college. I have no regrets. But ultimately, you don't learn how to learn in college. You go over a curriculum, right? Whatever you registered for, accounting or mark, whatever the case may be. The real juicy good stuff that really changed my path in life, I learned after college by studying the mindset and stuff like that. So for the audience, it might not be the sexiest answer, but that's how I feel.
No, I mean, 1,000% I agree with you. I mean, I'm one of those people that quit college, and I did so because I felt like there was just no value in college. I mean, I got all my state certifications and everything. So I did do schooling and I did do tests, and I mastered my craft. But those colleges, those institutions were never going to give me the knowledge that I got when I was 21 years old. I went to an Anthony Robbins seminar, and it changed my entire life. And college would have never done that for me.
No.
So I'm so lucky that at a young age, somebody, my mentor, one of my mentors, she took me under her wing and she said, I'm going to take you to this seminar and I'm going to change your thinking forever. And so did you have a time, like, was there ever a moment in your life where the light bulb went on and maybe a mentor said something to you, or there was a certain phrase that was said to you that ever happened that kind of, boom?
I'll tell you exactly. When I got to Wall Street after college, simultaneously, I stumbled upon neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. And I started to go down the rabbit hole of, wait a minute, just because I'm like this doesn't mean I have to stay like that. I could change like my thoughts. I could change what I associate pain and pleasure to. I can develop confidence. It's a skill. You don't have to be born with it. And so once I stumbled upon that stuff, it was like you just said, boom, like being unplugged from the matrix, so to speak. I was like, oh my goodness. And I never looked back. I just didn't find my calling until 10 years later when the pandemic happened, and it provided me an opportunity to figure out what I really love, which is this stuff. But I did use it, to build businesses and run marathons and all that stuff, and also form relationships. But it was that moment after college, ironically enough, or maybe not, when I stumbled upon the self-help stuff, the Tony Robbins of the world, just like you, when I was just, oh my goodness.
Yeah, you just brought me back like 25 years right now, man. Boom, I just went, like, as you're talking, I just went boom, back 25 years.
Good.
And that was, and the only thing I kept thinking about right now, I remember going through Anthony Robbins' 30-day program on cassette tape in my mom's house, my mom and dad's house, living in the converted attic above the kitchen. And and you just took me back. And I remember thinking, why doesn't everybody learn this? Why are they not teaching this to kindergartners? Why is this not being taught to fifth graders? And why is it that we don't, as a society, all acknowledge that our brains are just computers? I mean, it's just it's a powerful, powerful computer. And we can take a program, just like the movie The Matrix, and we can insert information. Maybe we can't learn karate that fast, but we can insert information, right? And then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're like, because I listen to audiobooks, throughout the years. And I listen to them while I sleep, though. I would listen to them before I went to bed. And then all of a sudden I would, 3 weeks later, I would say something. I'd be like, where'd that come from? What was that? And it was because I was programming my subconscious mind, to get all the things that I wanted to get.
100% agree with every single word. And I look, a lot of synergies here today. I do the same stuff. I embody that stuff into my subconscious while I sleep. And it's so true. Like the reference to the Matrix, like literally, if you're conditioned to a certain way, that's it. So, okay. So let's take that belief, goodbye, and let's take new information and implement that. And then all of a sudden we have a new perspective on what we thought we couldn't do. And then everything changes. I mean, I used it to run marathons when I never ran before. And that's a physical thing. So defying the laws of gravity, there's literally nothing that we can't do once we're aware. And just to come full circle, use that word early in the conversation. Once we're mindful and aware that we have a choice to implement information or more empowering thoughts, and that changes everything. And that's how you get in those frequencies and you vibrate and the universe works for us, not against us. Love all this.
It's so cool because, you know when you're on the right frequency and when you're on the wrong frequency. And
definitely.
That's why we get aligned. Sometimes we're talking to somebody, having a conversation with somebody, and all of a sudden, you go, I don't get a good feeling here. And it's just that we're just on different frequencies, different vibrations. And that's okay. That can change though, because when we become aware that there are frequencies and we are just energy, when we become aware of that stuff, then we go, oh my God, the light bulb goes off. I could actually change. I don't have to be like I was when I was 18 years old. I don't have to allow that childhood trauma to ruin the rest of my life, because I can change. I have that ability to change. Is that what you kind of teach in your programs?
Brother, this is dynamite. I couldn't agree more. Just because something happened to us and it's kept us in shackles, right? That's our choice. We're looking at it as if it has power over us. We can let go of that power. We can change a different belief towards it. And essentially we can remove the shackles, so to speak. So all of this stuff really hits home to me. We have a choice on what frequency we want to tap into, but we can only utilize that to do good in this world once we become aware that we have that choice. So, and I want the audience to let this resonate. If you're ever having a crappy day or you're not yourself, it does not have to stay that way. You can become aware that a thought has caused this belief, which has changed your emotional state. And if you work backwards and reverse engineer it, okay, so if I'm feeling lousy, let's implement a better thought, and that'll change our state and we'll be elevated instead of deflated, so to speak. So you're hitting on all the things, brother. Like I said, the only negative we got going on is we don't have 10 hours for this stuff. This is just gold.
I'm excited, man. Last question, man. Last question.
Sure.
I mean, you know, what are some of your favorite books that you could recommend that really revolutionized your thinking, that we could kind of maybe, you know, go out there and maybe search for some of these books? Because you have the right thinking, Craig, and you are the right kind of person that you're going to change so many lives. You've already changed a lot of lives, but I mean, you are on a trajectory for total dominance, man. So how do we become like you, man?
Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate that. I receive and I acknowledge all that. And I love your vibe as well. I have a feeling this is just the beginning of the relationship. In regards to books, look, everyone knows Think and Grow Rich, right? But here's the thing. Depending upon when you read a certain book in your life, which season you're in, you can have a completely different experience, right? I've read books and then reread them 7 years later, and I was like, oh my goodness, that just hit differently, right? So for example, The Secret, and we were talking about John Assaraf earlier, who we both had on the podcast. That book, right, it is eye-opening stuff, but you really have to focus and understand what they're telling us. Like, they're not saying just sit here and pray that you have a Lamborghini in your driveway and it shows up. They talk about being so in control and deliberate with your thoughts that sets off an electrical signal or a frequency, and then you start working towards those manifestations and they come to fruition. So books like that have made a major impact. Think and Grow Rich, obviously a classic. This one's a little bit deeper, maybe even controversial, but I'm a fan. The 48 Laws of Power basically talks about all the conquerors and the greats from the past, from thousands of years ago. What tactics and strategies did they use? I think it's pretty fascinating stuff. The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Peale. Love that one as well. I love to read. I'm reading a different book every single week, if I'm being honest. Love to hear one of your favorites.
Man, well, I was going to say that 48 Laws of Power is one of my favorite all-time books, but
buddy, just when we could be more aligned, this is crazy.
Yeah, no, I'm not even kidding, because, and I'm laughing in my mind when you said that, because I'm thinking nobody has ever said 48 Laws of Power. And I'm like, that's one of my all-time favorite books. I mean, it's really deep. I mean, I'm a big, I like, Robert Greene a lot, and, Malcolm Gladwell, like a lot of his stuff, but I'm, come on, let's be honest, man. I mean, the Think and Grow Rich changed my life. The How to Win Friends and Influence People changed my life. The Anthony Robbins Awaken Giant Within changed my life. And so, all the John Maxwell books changed my life. David Meltzer, his book is freaking just insane good. And so I've been a sponge for all these years. I believe, though, that progress equals happiness. So it's easy for me, because I want to be happy, right? We get up in the morning. That's what we all want. Ultimately, we think money's going to bring us happiness. We believe going on the vacation is going to bring us happiness. We all are trying to get to happiness. And I can be happy. You know how I can be happy? As long as I'm making progress. I just want to make progress. I just want to get better. I just want to improve. I want to help other people improve. That makes me happy too. So it's easy to get the things that you want in your life if you're always thinking that progress is going to get you that happiness. And then if you enjoy the moment, enjoy the company, and enjoy the conversations, man, life is so cool. And hey, look, I Craig, this has been awesome. Like you said, man, I wish we could do this for 10 more hours, but I want to know though, because you got a movement going on right now. You have the CLS movement, and by the way, that's your initials. I did read that. That's your initials, CLS, and it also stands for the Cultivate Lasting Symphony. Is that right? Is that right?
That's right. That's correct. Okay. You're good.
So that kind of worked out good. But hey, look, I want to know. Just give me 30 seconds, man. If somebody signs up for your program, what are they going to get from that? I mean, why should we sign up for your program? And then tell us how we can enroll and all that good stuff.
Yeah. If you want to live the life you desire, if you want to find clarity, if you want a community of support, I always say, like, the CLS community is more of a family than a community. Legitimately, like our membership, a couple hundred people, like it's just love. Everybody supports each other. I'm all about helping people fulfill their potential and exceed what they ever thought possible for themselves. No matter how old you are, any limiting beliefs that you possess can be removed and replaced with empowering ones. And there is nothing that you cannot accomplish. And if you like that type of high energy and great content with some of the world's greats, then find me on Instagram at Craig_CLS, our website, cultivateLastingSymphony.com, top 5 business podcasts on the planet, the CLS Experience, and also the CLS membership, which I'm super passionate about right now.
Good stuff. This has been fantastic, Craig. I really appreciate your time. Again, like you said, this is the beginning of an incredible future relationship and friendship. And so with that said, I just want everybody that is watching, listening today to go out, follow Craig on all of his platforms. If you go to his website and follow him on Instagram, tons of great, amazing content. Go follow him. And do me a favor though. When you contact him, send him a message, send him a DM and say, hey, look, man, I heard you on Daniel Alonzo's Wealth on the Beach podcast, and I was so inspired. That's why I'm DMing you. That's why I'm contacting you. So reach out to him, sign up, get going, get information, whatever you need from him. He's going to be there for you. And with that said, everybody, make sure that you continue to dream bigger than ever. Get after it. But most importantly, do it now. God bless you. We will see you at the top.